How are you, sir?
I am doing very well. How are you? Been a big year for you guys. Big year.
It's been good, man. It's been a good year. Thank goodness.
Well, we're coming to an end. It's winding down, but you've probably got one of the longest flights ahead of you. Coming up in less than 2 weeks now. The tour kicks off. Wow, I can't believe that. How excited
I
are you to make your
know.
way down? Yeah.
I assure you that I assure you that I am fully aware of how soon I have to get on a plane for 27 hours. I am fully aware of it.
Oh, because you'd be coming from the east coast of America, wouldn't you? All the way down here.
Yeah, well, the thing is that let me turn on a light so that I'm a little bit more visible. But yeah, the thing is that I'm from the East Coast, but we are we practice on the West Coast,
Okay.
in a place called Seattle, Seattle, Washington. So there we go. Look at me,
There we
a little
go.
backlight,
Yeah.
little sketchy backlight. So yeah, we go to Seattle to practice, and so I have to fly that 6 hours, which isn't so bad. But then from there, it's a 27-hour round trip journey.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. I talk to a lot of musicians, and I always say, because I've done that long haul flight, and it is killer. And I don't sleep on planes. I hope for the life of you, you can sleep on planes. I just stare at
You
the
know what?
wall.
I honestly don't. I'm like pretty bad at it. I'm probably gonna watch like six movies, and that'll be my journey.
See, I've done this weird thing. I flew over to Germany last year, and I sat in the chair, and because I was in the exit row, and you got to look down the whole time, I was like, no, I'm just going to sit here like this for 4 hours. To the point, the staff were coming up, going, "Sir, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah,
Everything's
I'm fine. I'm gonna try and watch as many movies as I possibly can. But you know what? It's worth it because at the end of the trip is Oz, and
Yes.
Oz fucking rules.
Yeah.
So I'm quite content. I'm quite content with 27 hours.
Now, have you been down here before? Because like, my wife did pull up a picture of you with a koala. So I was like curious. It's like, was that you coming down here, or was it a zoo elsewhere in the world?
No, gosh, no, no, no. We went to Oz in 2022. We did it
Oh, there
with
you go.
Alpha Wolf.
Makes sense. Yes, I could
Yes.
totally see that pairing working. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Good
good.
pals.
Yeah, no, they're good boys. They're blowing up as well. I'm very proud of the Alpha Wolf guys. They've come a long
They're
way
doing
since they
great.
started. Yeah, no, it's
They
done great.
deserve it.
And now you're coming down. You've got Thy Art is Murder, Brand of Sacrifice, you guys, and Lune. That is a heavy show, man. That is a real
Yeah.
heavy show. Like, how do you go about standing out in that kind of atmosphere? Because you guys are different. Like, you're not all the same.
Yeah.
Everyone is a little bit different. How do you feel you make people walk away and go, wow, Great American Ghost really kicked my ass?
Yeah, the trick is, and I'm giving it up, I guess. The trick is we're not going to try and out heavy anybody.
Mm,
We made a set that has new and old stuff, and we think it's a good mixture. And there are a lot of choruses, and there's a lot of like industrial stuff that we always do,
yep.
and we're doing a lot more of on the new record. So I'm going to show up. I'm going to play our set exactly how we want to play it, and I'm not going to try and match Brand of Sacrifice or match Thy Art is Murder because there is no matching those two bands. Like, there is no point.
Yep.
So I'm going to try and bring something completely different and just do Great American Ghost as we see it right now and unflinchingly do it. We're not going to change
Perfect.
set lists for bands. Not that they've asked us, they have never, but whether we do a Polaris tour in the EU, which we did, or we do a Thy Art is Murder tour in Oz, you're just going to get Great American Ghost how we see Great American Ghost. And that's hopefully how we stand out.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And it seems like all of our Aussie bands are kind of stealing you guys for opening the show. So you must be doing something right if the Aussies have welcomed you in.
We just have like a really tight relationship with Aussie bands. I don't know what it is. I feel very fortunate to be able to say that we have like some of the best friends and some of our best friends in the world are Australian bands, and we actually like we did Alpha Wolf,
Mm.
and at the Sydney show and for Alpha Wolf, the Polaris guys came
Oh,
and they saw us play, and they needed a band to do their Euro tour, and they asked us, and then The Art is Murder we've known for years from recording with Will Putney.
mm.
Justice for the Damned and us have always been on the same like studio schedule, so we're always in the studio with Justice.
Yeah.
And so like we just so happen to just get along real well with Aussies. I don't know. I'm grateful for it. I'm happy for
I
it.
was going to say you could have worse friends in your life, I guess. We're
I could, right? I
yeah.
could find worse bands to be close with. So I'm totally fine with that. That's what I want.
And now I'm going to jump into something else real quickly because I was going to bring it up, but you mentioned new album because you've had a few new songs out. You've signed to the new label this year as well. But you mentioned the industrial parts and big choruses. Can you tell me a little bit what's coming with this new album? Is it on the horizon, or are we still? I don't know. With Spotify these days, singles get released 18 months before an album comes out these days. So you never know when a band's going to drop a new release.
Yeah, the new record comes out January 31st,
Beautiful.
and it is everything you've heard so far. If you've heard the singles, I
Mm.
appreciate it. If you haven't, then you should go listen to them. Hymn of Decay, Forsaken, and Lost in the Outline. And then there are more to come. And I will say that some of the most industrial things that we've ever done are coming out as singles, and some of the most poppy, big chorus, like rock songs, not rock songs, but
Yeah.
big chorus metal songs. Those are the other songs. So um, I've got those two things. We got those two things, and they're going to be at the forefront for this record. I mean, that is what this record is. It's an industrial metalcore record.
Oh, mate, music to my ears.
Hey, me too. Hey, that was what we wanted when we got into the studio. We were like, this is going to be this thing. We had this vision, and Will was great, and he was just like, he's always great, and he was just like, he's like, okay, he's like, I see that. Let's go.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah.
now I feel like we're on a label that really sees it. And, I've talked to them a lot and they're like, this is what you guys are. So let's do it. And so it's been a beautiful experience to like make this change. And it feels like we're finally the most us we've ever been.
Yeah. No, it's funny that I love all these metalcore bands adding these kind of industrial synth elements in these days. Like I look at, I'll use an Aussie band as an example, Make Them Suffer from their first album, which was almost black and deathcore, to kind of
Yeah.
what they're doing now. It's just such a fresh sound that didn't exist years ago. Don't get me wrong, you had guys like Fear Factory and all that paving the way, slowly introducing it. But to what
Yeah.
it's become now, and how would you say it is? Do you feel it is a bit more of the kind of modern? You did mention almost poppy choruses as well. So is there any of that hyper pop influence in the industrial side, or are you kind of keeping it a bit more raw and dark?
I will say that the way I view industrial music is everything that happened before Nine Inch Nails and everything that happened after Nine Inch Nails.
Mm,
So for me growing up, Nine Inch Nails was like a huge deal and a huge influence. And so um I always loved that band and I've always loved the way that they sound and um I've always wanted Gag to have some of those elements.
yeah,
And now the way that modern music is kind of like moving in this direction, I feel like there are a lot of bands that really like are into Rammstein, and there are a lot of bands that have heard Ministry now, and
yeah,
there are these bands that I feel like have these huge influences. And on us, it was always on me especially, it was always Nine Inch Nails.
yeah,
And for Nico's a lot younger than I, but Nico writes a lot of the songs, and obviously Grayson writes the other half of the songs, but Gray has always really been into Nine Inch Nails, but Nico was not into it as much. And then it's like it was wild to watch him like catch up and be like, because he got really into Rammstein, and then it was like, well,
yeah.
dude, like, have you fucking heard this Nine Inch Nails song? And I'm like, yeah, I have. Like, I have. And then it really shaped what we do. And then on the other side, we like choruses and we like pop music and we like metal pop, and like you said, you mentioned Fear Factory, but there's a lot of bands, Fear Factory. I feel like Meshuggah was introducing
Mm,
like a lot of industrial more than they get credit for, like that Chromo. I don't know if I'm so bad with names, but Chronospace or whatever it was. They had like a remix record of that and it
yeah.
kicks ass. It's like really industrial. And so, Chronosphere, sorry. Um, that is like I don't think they get enough credit for that stuff. And I feel like Death was always doing weirdness. So
Yes.
I feel like we've kind of like intertwined all these things that we love, and like and then on top of all that, I love Architects. I
Mm.
love Bringing the Horizon. I love what they're both those bands are doing. So it's like it just made sense to find this like middle ground, and I feel like we finally all roads kind of like led into this moment where we made this record, and now we are this thing, and now we're moving forward as that.
Beautiful. And I'm glad that you brought up Bring Me the Horizon once again, a band that completely sounds different from their first couple of records, especially the very first one. Do you
Beautifully
ever,
so.
yeah, and I think for the best possible way too. Now, do you ever feel like sometimes, and you probably get it, you're a musician and you're on the internet, so of course you face backlash before. It's unavoidable. Everyone faces backlash in life. Do you feel that people are a bit more accepting now that all these bands have done this and people go, no, it's not the 80s anymore. You can't just release the same six records in a row and change the song titles and hope to have a hit. You've got to evolve.
I mean, that never worked.
No.
You know, like even the Beatles changed with
Hmm.
every record. Every Beatles record is different. I mean, every Stones record is different. And I mean, every Clash record is different. Clash is my favorite band of all time, and every Clash record is different, for better, for worse. You know, debatable.
Yep.
But you know, you have to evolve. And when you make music, you've done a thing, and people think they want it again, but they don't.
No.
And that's hard to like parse out. I think that if you change too much and you just jump the shark on like, you know, moving your band 10 years down the line, I think that you're gonna face backlash that's rightfully. If I love the Smiths, if Gag made a Smiths record, our fans would be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
For good reason. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" You know, like this isn't what we signed up for. But when you like Gag, and we make a record that's like way more industrial influence, where we have always loved Ministry and always loved Nine Inch Nails, and I love The Cure, and like these bands that were pushing the envelope on these things before. You know, if you listen hard enough, you can hear it. And with Bring Me, I feel like you could always tell that
Yeah.
they were headed. I mean, Sempiternal is like a perfect metalcore record, right? Like
Yeah.
in my opinion, is very much a
I
metalcore
agree.
record. But if you didn't know where they were headed, you know, maybe you didn't know they were going to do a song with like baby metal, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think you were listening hard enough, and you don't want them
Yeah.
to do the same thing anyway. If they just did the same thing, you'd be like, oh, this is boring. Who cares? And you'd be
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah, exactly. I see so many times where bands will evolve. They go, "Oh, I don't like that." Then they'll go back to the old sound, going, "Oh, yeah, I can kind of hear it, but it doesn't hit the same anymore." Because I guess you're not in the same place. You can't go backwards and try and recreate something you did the first time. I think Korn fell in that trap for a little while there, where they tried to go back and recapture that magic, but they were angry young men at the time. Man, when you get older, you chill out a little bit.
It changes. I mean, it all's gonna it's all gonna change. I think that yeah, I think it's all gonna change. Who
Yeah.
you are as a person is gonna change, and who your fans are as people change. You know, it's like I think a really a good modern example is Knock Loose. I mean, you know,
Mm,
like I love that band and I respect them greatly. Um, Tearing the Fabric of Life, in my opinion, is like an artistic triumph. And truly like that's not to say that Different Shade or that Laugh Tracks were not, because they are. But like you can hear Laugh Tracks to Shade is a huge artistic jump, and then like Tearing the Fabric is just like
yeah.
unbelievable. It is in the same conversation as like a Meshuggah and like a Gojira, in my opinion. And
Mm,
then the new record has an artistic direction that they are doing it. And it's
yeah.
like if you don't do that, you know, if you make the same stuff over and over, they're just gonna move on. It doesn't work.
Yeah. You
And
fade
people
into.
grow, and you
Yeah.
should too.
Exactly. That's why you hear terms like hair metal, new metal, and why those fads died is because it was fun for a little bit, but then people are like, oh yeah, it's all starting to sound the same. Let's move on. You know what?
Right.
There's
And it's like you know, yeah, it's like you're recreating these things, but it's not going to work forever. It's like
Mhm.
it just isn't. Like, you know, Guns N' Roses had their time.
Yeah,
You know, it would have happened I mean, like this band like
yeah,
made, you know, an amazing record, and then made a second amazing record that sounds nothing like
yeah,
the first record. I mean, it's a totally different record. And so I think the best bands in the world, you know, change those things. And as far as like feedback or negative feedback goes, I legitimately don't pay attention to it.
cool.
I don't read it. Like I go out of my way not to read it. If I read people's like negative comments, it would upset me
Mhm.
because I care about this thing immensely. So I just don't read it.
Yeah, and that's the smartest way to do it because people are always going to be negative because some people just thrive off that. You can't avoid it, no matter what you do in your life. You know.
The internet's an insane thing. The
Yeah.
internet is an insane thing. If like let's say, half the planet has access to the internet, which I'm sure it's lower than that, but let's say 3.5 billion people have access to the internet at any given moment. Who gives a shit if some kid thinks that your new song sucks? I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's cool. Move on.
cool. Yeah, right. And like next, like and on it, it's also like you never hear positive reviews.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever like, I really liked this, like I really liked this song. It's like that's a boring comment. An exciting comment to leave is like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, that sucks. Ha ha ha. It's
Yeah.
just the nature of the internet. But I mean, you just try not to get like caught up in that thing and just do your best. I made a record I really believe in. So that's
And
it.
that's the important part as well. And you come a long way. And I've listened to your catalog, and your voice has come a long way since the start. And I wanted to ask you because it's always I find it fascinating with people who can scream, yell, however. How did you first learn how you could do that, or were you just literally just shouting at the wall until something stuck?
I bullshitted my way into a band.
Yeah, mad.
Fully lied about being able to do it. I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, there was like a band around here that was playing a show that I wanted to play. This is really it. And I was like, they needed a vocalist, and I had been in bands and I had toured a lot. So I kind of knew these kids.
Yeah.
They were younger than me. And so I just kind of like hit them up and I was like, I'll scream, I'll do it. I've never done it. I had never done it. So I went and tried out, and then they called me and they were like, "Yeah, you're the guy." And I was like, "That's wild." So I just like made it up as I went, and then it was just like a straight up hardcore band,
Yeah.
and then I started Great American Ghost from that band actually. Like I left that band to start this band, and over the years I've just like found my voice literally, like
Yeah.
experimented with things and done things, and uh, it's so wild, like there was like a whole year where I just toured with these like unbelievable heavy vocalists, like Joe Bad from Fit, or like
Mm.
Jason from Ingested, or Travis from Enterprise Earth, who's like an incredible vocalist, and Jamie from Polaris. I did
Yeah.
a bunch of tours with him, and it was like all these bands are like doing these things, and I remember, we did two tours with Fit for an Autopsy, who are like our best friends,
I love
and
them.
Joe is such a good vocal. Just an amazing vocalist. And so I was like, I wonder if I can do that. Like, I wonder if I can scream really low. And so I would just try and scream really low at night, at the show, and just scream real low. Sometimes I'd hear from Nico, or Grayson, Neeks or Gray would be like, dude, that was crazy. Like, I didn't know you could do that. And I was "Oh," like, and then like, Jamie is such a good singer and such a
Yeah.
good screamer. He's such a good vocalist.
Yeah.
And so I would be like, okay, I'm gonna hit the high harmony on this song because I'm with Jamie and I just feel inspired to do it. So it's been like a long road of just like touring with bands and being like, I'm gonna try that thing that guy does, and it's like become I I feel like I see people. These are the positive comments. You got to read the positive ones.
Yeah.
Those are good. I feel like I see people be like, "Oh, this guy is good," or "What a great vocalist," or something like that. And I'm always like, it's like an out of body. I'm like, really? Like, are you sure? Because like Sam from Architects is like the
Mm.
quintessential to me, and so I'm doing my best Sam from Architects impression and my best Wes from American Nightmare impression. Those are like that's what I do all the time. So and then like Joe Bad and Travis are in there sometimes, but like that's it. So when people are like, "Oh, this is really unique and cool," I'm always like, "Great, thanks." Yeah,
I
cool.
love that. You literally started with I'm just going to fake it till I make it kind of mentality, but it's that mind over matter thing because a lot of people, and myself included, sometimes I get in my head of like, oh, I can't do that. So when I try and I go, oh, that might sound a little bad, I just don't. So the fact that you just push through, that is the
Well,
key.
you know what, dude? When you're on the road, I think we played in 2022. We played 225 shows or something.
Yeah, wow.
By show 162, you're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just doing this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna, I don't know. I'm gonna try and sound like Joe Bad all night for some, just to see what happens. So
Oh.
I've been very fortunate that I've gotten a lot of opportunity to try, and now I feel like on this record it's come out a lot, and I'm really grateful. I'm really happy with it.
Mate, I'm really excited to hear it. You've said a lot of key words today, big poppy choruses in a couple of songs, industrial,
Oh yeah,
metalcore. You ticked all the boxes, so I'm very excited. And I'm very excited. I'll be seeing you guys at the Sydney show. Cannot wait. Very excited
yeah,
for it. Yeah,
that's
I am
exciting.
wrapped. Can't
Hell
believe
yeah,
when the tour got announced. I was like, oh, no way. So, yeah, I got tickets day one. I was like, not even going to
I
wait for
love
that
that.
media pass. I'm like, nah, getting tickets just in case. Got to get the tickets.
That's sick. I'm so excited. We've had like two tours in Oz get canceled behind the scenes. Like we have them booked, they're about to announce, and then they get canceled. So this is the first time we got a chance to come back, and I love Australia, and I'm so excited to come back.
And the weather's warming up for you. It's going to be nice down here. You got the Froth and Fury in
Wow.
Adelaide as well. That's going to be amazing. That is so
Yeah, we get to
cool.
play with Fear Factory.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, I was going to go. I was going to fly down that day, but my wife really wanted to go see the Amity Affliction, so I wasn't going to take that away from her. They're playing
That's
local,
fair.
so had to.
Yeah, that's fair. I
But I'll
understand.
be seeing you the following weekend, so very excited for it. But mate, before I let you go, is there anything you wanted to say to the Aussie fans, or the fans watching around the world about the new album coming out before I let you disappear into the sunset?
It's the best thing we've ever done. And if you've ever listened to Great American Ghost, I think that you'll be happy, and also it'll progress, to a point that maybe you never thought that we would progress to. And if you've never heard Great American Ghost, then this is the perfect time to start. And I'm extremely proud of what we've done, and I thank everyone for paying any attention to us at all. So leave positive comments, and I'll read those.
Yeah.
I can tell right away. So, but yeah, thank you so much, and thank you to anybody who gives a shit. I really appreciate it.
No, well, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Cannot wait to finally see you guys live. It's going to be awesome. You enjoy the rest of your day. You can go fade off into the sunset now. Cheers.
I'm gonna do. No offense. I'm gonna do another interview. I'm gonna do one right now.
No. It's fine. We'll just put up on exclusive interview. Exclusive. No,
Yeah, all right,
it's all
fair. Yeah, you're right. No, I'll just skip it. You're right. Good call.
good. All right, mate. Have fun. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
All right, man. Come say hi in Sydney.
I will.
Hell yeah. All right,
See you,
buddy. Well,
dude.
thank you so much.
No, you're welcome, mate. Cheers. Have fun.